Sitting here at Breaking Bread in North Minneapolis on West Broadway and having a conversation with you. So my name is Charles Caldwell, local artist here in the Twin Cities, resident of North Minneapolis. My journey started in Minneapolis in 1970, moving here from Arkansas, Forest City, Arkansas. My mother and her 4 children left Arkansas and went to the Greyhound bus station for the journey to North Minneapolis. It was a very exciting time for me as a 6-year-old boy getting ready to turn 7. The day I arrived in Minneapolis, I turned 7. It was my 7th birthday, and I've been here ever since. I always have a great time. So I grew up here in North Minneapolis. I love North Minneapolis. I've lived in North Minneapolis all of my life, never lived in any other part of the city besides North Minneapolis, and I have raised a family all the way to the level of grandkids. And so I met a Minneapolis cutie, a Minneapolis baddie, and all of that. Hope you watch this and you get to see this, sonny. Right. But I met my lovely wife, Antonetta Caldwell, at the Hospitality House at 15. We both were 15 at the time. And I remember the day clearly that we met. I was rode up on my bike, which was my wheels at the time. And she came out and just stopped me dead in my tracks. I got off my bike and made my approach. Hey, come here. What's your name? And she stopped, and when I say she was a baddie, she was a baddie, because she stopped and wasn't very cooperative, but there was an interest. She stopped. And so, and I remember asking her for her phone number, and she refused. And I said, okay. She said, if you're supposed to have it, we'll meet again. You'll see me again. And I said, all right. I said, the chances of that happening, I'm not sure of, because we just met for the first time here today. You might meet somebody else. But anyway, I went my way, she went hers. And 2 days later, she was at my school. I said, aha. And so, and that's where it all started. That's where my growing up outside of childhood started in North Minneapolis. And we had our first child as seniors in high school. And me growing up in a single family home with just my mother and my brother and 2 sisters, I always felt the absence of a father. So I'd always told myself that if I ever got a young lady pregnant, I would be there for my child, and I would be a father. That's where it would start. And so I've done that and been that, and it's, boy, every father that doesn't, you're really missing out on some part of life that you as a man won't get to experience unless you accept the responsibility of that role. So I as I say, I've always lived in North Minneapolis, and I love it. North Minneapolis is a great community, a great place, but there's some challenges that the changes have brought about in the community. But so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. That's just part of my personal life that I'm sharing with you. So my recognition in my community and outside of my community is myself as an artist. And that is the signature of C. Caldwell. It's my artist signature. Some of you may know me as just Charles, and have seen some of my work. And so my artist signature is C. Caldwell. And so where that story starts is I was in 6th grade. I've always been creative and did artsy stuff, even from kindergarten on. But in the 6th grade, at Lincoln Junior High in North Minneapolis, I discovered my artist self. And so I went and there was a teacher by the name of Richard Scott. I was a sixth grader at the time. And then high schools, the sixth graders was housed in the basement. Then you got junior high and high school on the upper floors. And so Mr. Scott had this nice big art double classroom as the art room. And when I walked in, I was in amazement. There was a totem pole in the middle of the floor, about a 25-foot totem pole, like a telephone pole, that he had been carving on for several years, and with faces and design, and just something that was just amazing and captured my attention. What was most exciting about the classroom is the vibrant, colorful energy of the students who were, and Mr. Scott was a Native and Caucasian American. And he had a ponytail, and he wore a dashiki, and he had jeans with bell bottoms at the time. And he had these cowboy boots on that was like from the old West, for real. He was a cowboy, a farmer, lived in rural Minnesota. It was crusty, and I was like, wow. But I was so fascinated by him because there was the students, the population of the students was African American. And his communication and relationship with them was just amazing to me, being a young black boy coming from Arkansas, and the relationship that this teacher had with these kids was just amazing. I didn't see any dominance in the authority or the relationship. And I was like, wow, this is exciting to me. And so I said, man, I need to be in here. And he said, hey, look, you can't be in here. This is a upper class room, upperclassmen, 8th, 9th, 10th grade. I said, man, I need to be in this room. I kind of took a stance. It was that exciting to me. And the interaction was so cool that, I didn't feel threatened by, he meant that you better get out of here because I'm,
Right.
the authority in here.
Right.
And you're out of place. I didn't get that feeling. So I said, I said, man, I love what's going on here. I want to do this. I want to do some of this. He said, here, I tell you what. He said, I'm going to give you an art project. And if you can do this project, you can come in here anytime you want to, little dude. I said, wow. That's what I did. I was like, whoa. And so I said, man, okay. So he gave me a 6-inch block of wood in length, and it was 1 inch in diameter. And he had a ball rattling, a ball, he called it a ball in a cage. And so he had a ball in the middle of that. And how he did that was he carved the inside out and left corners, 4 corners. And he left a piece in the middle to become the ball. So I said, I can do that. I'll do it. He said, take this with you. If you come back with this ball in this cage, you can be in this class anytime you want. And I said, wow. I went home, and I spent the hours of the night twiddling on that block and got it all figured out. And by the time I went to bed, it was rattling.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't wait to get up and go to his class to get started. So I went back to school the next morning, and I walked straight to his classroom, walked up behind him, and rattled that thing in his ear, and he looked at me and he said, wow. He said, little dude, you can be in this classroom anytime you want to. I mean, he just kept his word, and we bonded from right there.
Wow.
So that's where my recognizable acknowledgement of myself as an artist or becoming an artist started. at that moment. So throughout the years, I developed the talent, kept the excitement, and pretty much became a natural at it. I was not an artist before I left Arkansas that I was aware of. But once I had this experience and became an artist that I knew, hey, this is something special. I could be, this got me from the 6th grade to the 8th, 9th, and 10th grade environment because of the excitement. And so I wanted to keep reliving that because it felt good that I could do something that made people happy, that made me happy, and something that mattered. And you could take a piece of wood. So what I used to do from that experience, I would take a piece of wood, a tree branch, and turn it into a beautiful, amazing walking stick that looked like a totem pole. I had sticks that I would take the branches off of the center core and wrap them around it, and all kinds of beautiful things that I used that talent for. And so over the years, that was Mr. Scott and I crossed paths because he moved around to another location, which was Franklin Junior High School. And so I ended up being in his 7th or 8th grade class at Franklin Junior High. So I've kind of followed.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had it was a beautiful relationship he was the male, I didn't have a male figure that I respected that had any reason. I respected him just because of who he was. And he happened to be a male that was doing things that I liked, and he liked the way I was learning and listening and absorbing what he had to offer as an art teacher. And so I spent time with him at Franklin Junior High School, and then I moved on I went to Ann Watton Middle School in 8th grade. You know about at Ann Watton. So when I got the word from Franklin, because we moved, so when I first moved to North Minneapolis, my aunt, beautiful, bless her, Aunt Delzola, her name was Delzola Pickens, who encouraged my mother, who was her older sister, to make the move from Arkansas to Minnesota, North Minneapolis. She told her, because my mom took her 2-3 years to make that decision, and she told her, you don't have to worry about anything, I got you. Until you can get on your feet, and I'll help you do all of that, you can live with me, no problem. I got you. And she was true to that, to her dying day. She was my Aunt Dale, but she was also my mother as well, because she didn't have kids, and she treated me as her son. So, and as I'm telling these stories, I want to acknowledge the fact that I was raised and became the man that I am from a group of beautiful, strong black women, from my great-grandmother on up. There wasn't a male figure in my life that was committed to my life, even as I'm an adult today. I say that to young men because that's significant. You still have to become the man that you were born to be, right? And so anyway, so anyway, Mr. Scott and I kept up with him throughout the years. We still had a relationship. The last contact that I had with him was his 75th birthday. Last year, I get a request on Facebook that says, I forgot his daughter's name. His daughter reached out to me and said, "Are you the Charles Caldwell that my father, Mr. Richard Scott, spoke so highly of in his life as I was growing up. And if you are, my name is, we'll call her Mr. Scott's daughter. I was just trying to make on it. But she said, my father, I know who you are, and my father always spoke highly of you, and I just wanted to reach out to you and just let you know that he has since passed, and I would love to meet you. And so it was just amazing because I didn't have, that gave me an opportunity to have some closure with someone that was so significant in my life. And so I met with her. I was having an art show in Northeast Minneapolis doing Art World last year.
Oh, sure.
And had her come. She came and we met, and I presented some gifts and took some pictures, and it was just, it was awesome. It was like being there. And she gave me some photos, some pictures of him that I cherish for the rest of my life, because it was truly the confidence, the recognition, and the ability to create was established that day that he gave me that project and that challenge to say yes to my presence. It's like, there was no struggle in it. And then over the years, I found out how really, truly great of a person that he was, because he was an activist in the community, in the black community. Powerful activist. Matter of fact, Spike Moss spoke of him as I was telling the story, and he said, "Oh yeah, he intervened a situation in my life." And so, he was just someone that was truly, truly special in the community. Now, the amazing thing about it was he later in life ended up marrying the art teacher that I had in the 6th grade, which was Miss Kathy Falkowski. And so they ended up becoming husband and wife. And that was their daughter who reached out to me. So with that, myself, I have developed into quite an independent artist, and have remained in my community because I love the respect and appreciation and support that I get from my community. But most importantly, I love the fact that I have had shared with me on more than one occasion that I've been an inspiration in someone's life, and not just through some generations. And so that is something that's just, you can't go and redo that in a new location. You can't revisit that experience because it's just unconditional, and it's something that you don't even know about. I don't even know how I've inspired some people in their life, but I try to live my life as an inspiration because I do know that I have inspired some people's lives. And inspiration is an amazing thing. When you are, we all have inspiration. We all have something to offer of ourselves and our presence. But I've been a family man since I was 14, and that's the extended family man outside of my household. And to my nieces, my nephews, neighbors, and friends, and when you have strangers or people that know you outside of your family structure share with you how something that you've done or something that you've been involved with or something that they've encountered that you've created, maybe seen a piece of my work or something, to let me know how it's been inspiring to them. It's a different kind of feeling because it's something that someone is giving you that you didn't know was there?
Can I jump in real quick? Because
Yes.
it's just burning. So yeah, like you said about your artwork, it is inspirational. Like every place where you have it posted is like in like the heart zones of our community. Like it's necessary, it's definitely needed. Especially the one over there, over the saloon. It's like, it's like the main focus point of the city.
Welcome to North
But
Minneapolis.
yes, but your artwork always bring the beauty into the community. Like we can overlook everything else everybody talking about and have a moment by just staring at all the detail. And like when you do your work, you put everything into it. Like even though it's be like so much ugly going on in our community, we can look at your artwork and see the beauty. So even in the clinics or whatever, every time I see that signature, I'm like, he did that too? He did that too? I be like, hey, you've been around here forever. Of course. And I just be like, how you consistently could create so much beautiful art with all the negative things that goes on in our community and still be like, we still got a light over here. We still shine.
Wow.
So I appreciate the work you be doing around here, and it was definitely a blessing to have you here with us speaking tonight and sharing your story.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that you cut in right at the time that you did, because everything that you just said is that inspiration that I'm talking about that I just get to meet.
Yeah.
And I just met that inspiration that you just shared. And exactly everything that you just shared is everything that I put into every piece of work that I create.
It definitely shows.
You reading it well, because I was in a shop one day and a young lady, I have a piece called Man-Child. It has a young boy, a sibling, holding his other sibling. But see, in our culture, the oldest child takes the responsibility when the adults aren't there. And so that's how I was raised. And so we often hear that black males don't have male role models, but it's an instinctive thing that we have, and we have to acknowledge the instinct of that. So this piece is called Man-Child, and a young lady was there. She had a couple kids with her. I think it was about 3 to be exact, and they were little kids. And she said, and I had some paintings. That piece was hanging in the furniture store that she was at. And she said, that ain't real. That ain't true. And I said, wow. I said, you know what? I said, now, I can understand how you could maybe feel that way, but I created this picture, so let me tell you about it. I said, now, this is real. This is a real situation here. This is a real experience. And I said, this is true. Now, maybe the males that you have encountered with and have had children with are not as nurturing as you see in this picture. But this is true, and you can believe in this. I didn't make it up. So she felt something and seen something in it that she would have liked to have that experience, but she hasn't had that experience. But she didn't understand how that could look so real and not be real in her life. And so, but she left with the understanding. I said, this is a sibling. And so it's just like your children here. I said, your boys here, you'll teach them how to not be the kind of man that you think is not in that picture. Because your older one here is going to be taught how to take care of your younger one here. So, at some point in time, you have to become responsible of yourself as a male or a female, And so I try to capture that in my work, and I get a lot of feedback from experiences, and I've been in the presence of a lot of experiences with certain pieces of my artwork. I have a piece called Inspiration, and it has a father, and it has a little boy making a muscle pose, and the father's there just, muscled up, chiseled up, and the kid is like, and this piece is called Inspiration, so I was doing an exhibit at the Riverview Supper Club, and and there was a festival. They had a shrimp boil. Yeah, you ever go to the shrimp boils they had there? It was one of them shrimp boils. And so I'm standing by my booth, and this little guy comes up and he sees that picture and he goes, wow. He said, look at that. He's probably about 5 or 6. He said, look at that, Dad. That's me and you. We're strong, ain't we? And I was like, wow. And the guy started tearing up. And he said, man, he said, I said, you all right? And he said, you know, he said, I don't share my personal business with people, but I'm going through a transition in my relationship with his mother, and they're moving out of state. And that was just an emotional moment for me, that he acknowledged the strength that we share as father and son.
Oh.
And so, you know, everything that you just said and why I create the imagery that I create, and through the heartache and pain and the struggle, I try to not capture that, because that speaks for itself, and we understand that. We deal with enough of that. So my artwork represents healing and the nurturing and the beautifulness of what we do as a people of North Minneapolis, what we do as a people of our African American descent, and as our blackness in America. We're beautiful people. We just got to see. I mean, I'm looking at your beautiful hair, your beautiful locks, this beautiful sister here that does the most beautiful, encouraging things with her voice in the African American community. This young lady here, you know, I know that you see me and we have communication, and I like the way that you communicate with me. But I've seen you in communication and expressing yourself and how you feel about things that's going on in your community and how you're emotionally connected to that. So I know that you're so sincere about everything that you're trying to do in our community. That's why I'm here tonight. When you asked me to be here, I refused to let myself say no, and I had other plans because of your sincerity and your respect that I feel when we encounter. So I appreciate that. I thank you for that. And I'm here to nurture that. Because if I said no in the way that I feel like you feel about me, that changes a little bit, because that makes you think, wow, I thought he would have came and he should have came and this and the other. I'm here because of you.
I appreciate it.
Okay? I want you to know that, because I want you to take that as you go on to the next person that you want to talk to, or that you want to invite into your space, or that you want to share with your community. You're doing great. I appreciate that. Thanks for choosing me tonight. And so I also want to just announce, because this is historical, my grandson, Jaden Caldwell, is the lead role in the Lion King Jr., and he's playing the role of Simba, and he's on the show tonight. But I made rearrangements because I had the opportunity to see it last night. It would have been tough if I hadn't seen it, but it worked out, and I accept it as it worked out because I wanted to be here. And so I'm here. I sent my wife and my aunt to the show tonight, and so I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me. And is there any questions that maybe either one of you young ladies have that you may want to ask? I can talk about.
Well, I know that you already talked about where you got the niche to start becoming an artist. What is one of your most famous paintings that you created? Your art, like, and if you have some photos you could share with us later, that would be cool.
I could do that later, but I would say my biggest, most successful, recognizable painting would be the mural on 94 and Broadway on the 4th Street Saloon that says, "Welcome to North Minneapolis." I think it's pretty iconic. It's been in a lot of visuals. It's been on the city website. When there's big things happening in Minneapolis, they use that in the advertisement. I'm gonna have to get me an agent or something.
That's right.
You know?
We
Yes.
use it too.
Yes. But you know what? I get a call from somebody that says, hey, we want to know if it's possible that we can use. I'd say, you know what? Sure, go ahead. I can't pay for that kind of advertisement myself, and it's free advertisement. And thousands of people have taken pictures of it. I'm not after nobody. Enjoy it.
It's beautiful.
Shirt, short, move it around. So that's my biggest, most recognizable piece. But my first piece that carried that status that I was totally proud of was a portrait collage that I did of Dr. Martin Luther King. That's a very iconic piece. It's a pencil. When I say I didn't have a male role model growing up, my mother, bless her heart, raised me well. When they say a woman can't raise a man, she did a wonderful job raising me by letting me be the man of the house, not being as though I was the adult of the house. There's a difference. But she let me be the man in the house because I was the male of the house. And she allowed me growth. I helped her take care of, she taught me a lot, to be responsible to trust me and as her young son. And so bless her heart for that. I got to, one of the things that she enjoyed doing was having a steak dinner. And we grew up on public assistance, so, every month when she got her check, she wanted to do something special after I went downtown with her. That's when you went downtown and paid your bills, your gas bills, your light bills, your phone bills. They had you go down there and pay that like you're paying your cell phone bill.
Oh, yeah.
Today.
You needed a phone.
Yes. And so she, she gave me those responsibilities. And, I'd take the bus, knew how to go to places, go down to the welfare office, go down to Hennepin County, what was it, General Hospital. It was, it was General Hospital at the time, downtown.
Hennepin Healthcare.
Yeah.
Did you have the paper transfer with the punch hole, or that was before your time?
Oh no! Didn't you have to take the bus with the pay transfer?
And you know what? Hey, how can you use that transfer again? You know what I mean? You say, let's put them all together, put them in a stack, and just give it to the bus driver. Some of them from yesterday, some of them the day before, but just keep walking, going to the back of the bus. And it worked both sides. They wasn't so tough about it then.
Like just a thick old transfer.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. And so, so I grew up with. So back to the piece, the Martin Luther King piece was. I did that in '86, and that piece, everything came after that. And when I did that, I had two male figures that I respected, that I admired growing up, and that was Dr. King and Billy D. Williams.
Billy D.
So I wanted to think like Dr. King and look like Billy D. Williams.
Smart man.
And I must say, I did during that period of my life, and you'll cross paths with word on the streets here and there. And they used to call me the Billy D in North Minneapolis. I had the finger waves and all that, all that. But I grew up in this community with a level of respect, not just the respect that I have for the community, but the respect that I have for myself. I say to young people, I said, even if you grow up in a disciplined household, you're disciplined in the household, but I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about how you're acting when you get out in the street, when you change your clothes from the clothes you wore out the house to the clothes and the image that you want to carry when you get outside.
Boys do that?
Boys do that. Girls do that.
I know girls.
Boys do that. Boys don't necessarily change clothes, but they change character.
Okay.
Clothes is the subject matter or the object of the subject, but it's the character that you're carrying with you inside and out. So boys' character changes, girls' clothes change.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Okay?
Very excellent observation.
I gotta
Yes.
watch both C's. I got a girl and a boy.
Oh, you better
Oh,
watch
yeah.
them both. You better watch them
Got to
both.
watch them both. And as society has dynamically evolved and changed, you definitely have to watch both in both situations. So, but I really love the respect that I get in the community. I love the respectful encounters. It breaks my heart when I encounter young people in our community and there's no level of respect that transcends between myself and them. I've had a couple of situations just right here in my community where I'm thankful to be here today because my life was threatened at gunpoint and on more than one occasion. And through the grace of our God, I'm still here today. And it was senseless encounters like stoplight encounters or stop sign encounters or road rage. And it's like, and I'm thinking, if this young man only knew that I'm the man that would do anything for you and your life to help you make it better or help you out of a situation that you're in our encounter, and you're willing to try and kill me. It's like there's people that love me in this community, and you're willing to kill me.
You're going to try to take that from us.
Yeah, and so that's where we are evolving into today. So the art, I will continue to, we're all evolving out of the George Floyd experience and tragedy and the COVID dynamics of change. These past couple of years in our city here in Minneapolis has been just all over the place. And, we're experiencing a lot of death in our community through violence and gun violence, but we're still experiencing a lot of death through the COVID situation. And what COVID did was took a lot of communication separation. COVID brought about a lot of separation. The socialness, I think a lot of our young people in schools that rely on going to school and having social space and a social place to be in, there's some catching up that they're going to have to do. Us as adults, as parents, as community members have to really step and take a look at that. You got kids, take a look and see what might be what their changes are. Kids that are used to having 2 or 3 friends that think and talk and share with them, and they been in such a space that it's all, I think the fact that they were texters helped. But if they didn't have that, boy, what kind of communication would, kids have as far as talking and sharing and hearing their voices? So I would say to the community, I would say to families, open up and pay attention to what's going on in your kids' minds, what they're thinking. Ask some questions, have some patience, try to have some understanding, because we are in some times right now where everybody is trying to re-understand themselves, re-understand the daily processes. The whole COVID situation changed the dynamics of employment. Employment went from in-house to at home, right? I mean, you can, and a lot of folks have gotten extremely comfortable with that. A lot of businesses have decided that maybe I don't need to pay this $10,000 a month rent in downtown Minneapolis when for the past 2 years we got a great profit margin, and instead of the deficits that we've had, we've been able to eliminate those kind of things. But our community has been affected by a lot of those changes because where technology has came today, a lot of us don't have the skills and the abilities to operate within the world of that technology. A lot of kids don't have the skills and abilities to operate with the computer and at home learning, and and nowhere to go because the gathering places have changed. The teaching places have changed. So I try to, as an artist, I try to convey those things that make you give some thought when you look at something, and something to make you feel good right now in these times where there's a lot of things that's not making us feel real good about it. My son, fortunate, my son is an artist. His name is Kenneth Caldwell. My daughter is an artist. Her name is Nikisha Caldwell. My daughter Sharnea. Everybody, I have. When I look behind me, I'm extremely proud of the example that I've set, not just for my family members or people that have paid attention over the years to have something to try and achieve or something that they can have confidence about. But, you know, my son has taken the great ability of developing and understanding this talent as an artist. I'm really proud of what he's taken as an example of being a family man. He's doing that well, doing great. There's a lot of things that I'm extremely proud of and extremely excited of. Yet I still sit here with the same concerns that each and every one of you have about the environment of our community, the inner heartache and pain, and the desire to do some things and reach out and try to help make it better for myself, the community, and just try to survive in it. I live in the area, in the community, like I said, and earlier in the year, when that young man was, life was cut short on Golden Valley Road and Penn Avenue. That's just, right up the street from my house. And I, go walk to the corner store. So as senseless as that situation was that day, it just happened to be that young man in that space with another person that had something else in mind that day. And so it could have been anybody. It could have been me. It could have been my grandson or any one of you or your family members. So things are happening in the community that is just aggressive and abrupt. And we just got to try to continue to believe as human beings and humanity that we can speak and say, hey, how you doing? When I speak to a lot of folk, a lot of young brothers and sisters, I can feel in their heart that they want that to be more easy and more natural to speak back. And I believe they can feel in my heart that I want to speak to them in that way. And so usually the encounter is good. And it feels like a breath of relief sometimes when you see it. Hey, how you guys doing? How you doing, young man? How you doing, young lady? It feels good to be able to just have some natural things like that happen for you in your life. All right. I hope that I gave you some food for thought.
You gave us a lot, everything.
And I will certainly be more than happy to come back again at any other time. And again, I appreciate you and just the awesome words that you shared, because, they say, sometimes they call it arrogance, they call it egotistical, they call it overconfident, or those, whatever it is, humble. I just try to be as humble as I can be, because I want you to feel what I feel when you say something good to me that I want to say to you.
You're supposed to be arrogant. You're not supposed to be humble. I looked up the word humble, right?
Yeah.
Humble means you think of yourself less than, not perfect, not highly. You beneath someone. And it's like they say you want a piece of a humble pie. It's nothing good. Or humble yourself. So we always use the word humble in the wrong context. So you're supposed to speak highly of yourself and your art and you. But we so used to using the word humble because it sounds good, right? Like I'm humble. I know where I'm at, where I'm being. I'm great. Instead of humble, it's grateful. Right. But we're so used to humble because humble is just a word that goes on. Yeah, like if we just switch humble to grateful, you could look up humble and see if that's who you are. Now, if you
I'm
humble,
going to do that.
I want you. You can remain humble.
Yes,
But
no.
if you arrogant, you supposed to feel highly. If you don't feel highly of yourself, who will?
Ooh, yeah. And I say that in the context that I'm extremely confident in myself.
There you go.
I extremely believe highly of myself.
There you go.
And I
So
think
how humble fit
I'll
in
tell you
there?
this story and I'll go. When I was in the fifth grade, there was I went to Willard, right over here on Queen, 14th and Queen. I went to Willard, and there was an after-school work program that they had for kids where you could go and it was like a what was the name of that? It was what was it called before TCOI?
Oh.
And so they paid you, like $2-3 an hour for a couple hours a day, and so there was an event taking place, and I used my money to, I think I bought some, I used my money for something that was needed at home. And the other guys that was around thought that was because they didn't have to, at home was okay with them. They didn't have to use their money to help with things at home. And so I thought they found that to be, but anyway, that experience was humbling for me, and that's why the word humbling,
Yeah.
I use it, and I've never looked up the definition of it.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to do that. But it was humbling for me because I was comfortable with supporting home and taking care of home, where they didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And so I guess I didn't, because that was so important to me, I didn't go in the direction of saying, okay, I think selfish.
Yeah, you wasn't selfish.
Yeah, I wasn't selfish
Yeah.
because I knew that I did what was needed and not what I wanted to do. So I'm just totally comfortable when I say humble. I'm just, I would do a painting and let it speak for itself.
Yeah.
I walk into a room and I don't have to be loud. I can walk over and whisper to the people that I want to say something or have contact with. But I know that when I walk in a room,
Everybody
my
know
presence
who you is.
is known.
Right.
So
Yes, it is.
I'm just laid back. I'm comfortable with it. I take on the challenge, any kind of challenge, and so I'm just comfortable with it. But I'm going to look that up.
That was a very good lesson.
Yeah, it was. And so with that, thank you all for having me. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to the next time and opportunity.
Okay. And next time we'll break bread and eat.
Hey, all right,
Thank
absolutely.
you for coming.